Colonel Potter, sir. Corporal Klinger. I'm Section 8, head to toe. I'm wearing a Warner bra. I play with dolls. My last wish is to be buried in my mother's wedding gown.
MASH wasn't just a hit. It was a revolution in television. Mixing sharp comedy with raw depictions of war, it changed how audiences saw both sitcoms and human resilience. But behind the laughs and heartbreak, the show was always shifting. Some beloved stars left quietly, others in shockwaves that stunned America. Were they chasing bigger roles, burned out by the grind, or simply outgrown by the show's evolution? Today, we uncover the real reasons why these actors walked away and how their exits shaped MASH into the legend it became. Henry's goodbye shockwave.
What was to have been a cast party at the end of the season and a goodbye party for me, we all went to our dressing rooms. I think everybody, like I did, just sat and cried for about a half hour.
McLean Stevenson was beloved as Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake, the frazzled, kind commander who made chaos feel human. But off camera, Stevenson wrestled with something simple and sharp. He wanted more. As MASH shifted from a loose ensemble into a show with a clear center, Alan Alda's Hawkeye, Stevenson felt his role shrinking. He said as much in interviews, voicing the wish to be number one. That isn't just ego, it's the reality of TV. Actors know momentum matters, and Stevenson believed he could carry a series on his own. When he told producers he was leaving after season 3, the writers made a choice that rewrote sitcom history. Instead of a soft transfer, they reminded viewers the show was a war story. Abyssinia Henry built a joyful goodbye, then crushed it with Radar's quiet report. Henry's plane was shot down. No survivors, no music, just stunned faces.
The network wants us to because they don't want you to go out and do another series with this character.
The aftermath proved how bold the show had become. Thousands of letters poured in. Stevenson jumped to headliner status at NBC, but the spin-offs fizzled. Years later, he admitted I've taken myself out of the game. Irony stings. The role he left became the defining part of his legacy, yet his exit also gave MASH a haunting honesty. And as the camp mourned its commander, another partner would slip away without even a proper farewell. Trappers vanish, a quiet storm. Wayne Rogers Trapper. John was Hawkeye's equal at the start, 2 sharp minds, 1 wild spirit. Fans loved their buddy energy, the pranks, the fast talk. But Rogers had signed on expecting a true ensemble. As Alda took on writing and directing, Hawkeye became the moral center, and Trapper's scenes flattened. Rogers later explained it wasn't jealousy, it was story integrity. Trapper had become the guy who nodded while Hawkeye grew. That creative slide met a legal twist. Rogers had never signed a formal contract. When he chose not to return after season 3, threats of a lawsuit fizzled because there was nothing to break. The show, meanwhile, scrambled. There was no goodbye party, no final scene, just a line in season 4 explaining Trapper had been discharged off-screen. Fans were rattled. First Henry is slain, then Trapper just vanishes? To fill the gap, producers brought in Mike Farrell as B.J. Honeycutt, a softer, steadier counterweight who opened the show to deeper emotional arcs. The buddy comedy edge shifted into richer friendship, family stakes, and long-distance love. As for Rogers, he pivoted brilliantly. He kept acting, then built a second career in finance, becoming a savvy investor and TV commentator. He and Alda stayed friendly, and when Rogers died, Alda publicly praised his mind and spirit. Yet the cost was real. If Trapper's easy grin faded overnight, another core presence was quietly breaking under the weight of fame and long days on set. Radar's burden, burnout, and family. Gary Berghoff's Radar. O'Reilly was the show's heartbeat, the kid with the teddy bear who could hear choppers before anyone else. On the surface, he carried innocence. Underneath, the job carried him to the edge. Berghoff battled anxiety and depression, a truth that rarely made headlines then. The grind of production collided with his personal life. A young family at home, milestones slipping by while he pulled long hours under bright lights. Negotiations for better pay and fewer appearances weren't just about money, they were about breathing room. Producers tried to meet him halfway because Radar mattered. But the emotional math kept failing. The job asked more than he could keep giving. When he left in Season 8, MASH didn't let him disappear. Goodbye, Radar staged a farewell as tender as the character himself. Radar returns to a camp falling apart without him, tries to fix everything like always, then learns to let go. He leaves his teddy bear on Hawkeye's bunk, a symbol that innocence doesn't survive war or fame unchanged. After MASH, Berghoff stepped back, choosing painting, wildlife work, even inventing paths that steadied him. He later said he left for 2 reasons: family and burnout. That honesty shows in the episode's silence. The goodbye is less about applause and more about permission to heal. And as the company clerk walked out of frame, the show faced a different problem: a villain who had stopped evolving. Frank Burns, outgrown at last. Larry Linville's Frank Burns was deliciously awful in the early years, rigid, petty, jealous, a perfect punchline and pressure valve. But as MASH matured, one-note cruelty began to clash with layered humanity. Hawkeye and BJ wrestled with ethics. Margaret found her voice. Even the guest characters often carried pain and irony. Frank? He stayed stuck, and Larry Linville knew it.
So you really must go through that process of being able to open your mouth and make a fool of yourself and say something really dumb.
By the end of Season 5, he chose not to renew, saying he'd taken Frank as far as he could. That wasn't a firing. It was a clear-eyed call about story growth. The series wrote Burns out off-screen with a cushy promotion, a wink at his mediocrity, and a mercy for the tone. In his place came Charles Emerson Winchester III, David Ogden Steyer's cultured, arrogant surgeon who could match Hawkeye in skill and principles. Winchester wasn't cruel. He was proud and complicated. Suddenly, the show didn't need slapstick hostility. It had ethical duels, class clashes, and quiet moments like Winchester teaching POW's Mozart. Linville moved on to steady work, but never found a role as visible again. Still, his choice helped MASH level up. Without Frank, the show embraced irony over mockery and hard questions over easy targets. With the cartoon villain gone, MASH evolved, and that evolution led to the final truth about these exits. Change wasn't an accident. It was the engine. Rewrites, replacements, regrets. Pull the camera back and the pattern is clear. Stevenson left to lead his own show. The writers answered with a death that said, "War takes." Rogers left over creative focus. The producers responded with BJ, proving friendship could be tender and complex. Linville left because flat villains break great dramas. Winchester arrived to challenge the camp with intellect instead of tantrums. Berghoff left to save his life off-screen. MASH honored him with a goodbye that respected his heart. Even the choices of those who stayed or finished the run sharpened the picture.
To see if we could get the scene to work, because we didn't think it had quite worked on camera. Now, we were never going to shoot it again. We didn't think that if we got that scene, we could go back and fix it. We just wanted to see if we could do it well.
Alan Alda's increasing creative role deepened the series, and yes, rebalanced the spotlight. Loretta Swit pushed Margaret from joke to leader, staying all 11 seasons and proving the show could grow women's roles with dignity. David Ogden Stiers declined the After MASH spin-off because Winchester's arc felt complete, closure over cash. And then there's the quiet footnote that says a lot. The pilot's original Father Mulcahy, George Morgan, was replaced by William Christopher, a small, early exit that hinted at a production always tuning its characters for truth. In the end, these departures weren't random storms. They were pressure points where ambition, exhaustion, contracts, and artistic vision collided. Sometimes the actors misjudged the aftermath. Sometimes the show found a better path because they left. Either way, MASH kept its mission: use laughter to carry pain and let change tell the truth. What exit shocked you most? The plane over the Sea of Japan, or the friend who was just gone the next week? Tell us in the comments. If you want more deep dives into the choices that shaped classic TV, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And when you're ready for another revelation, Watch the next video on your screen. We're pulling back the curtain on more iconic stars and the moments that rewrote TV history.